Hi, welcome to video. I'm gonna talk about a thing. That thing is a video game. I don't talk about video games that often. The last time I did it was when I talked about Assassin's Creed 3. That was a while ago. So today I'm going to be talking about a beloved Nintendo GameCube game from my childhood that I recently replayed. And now I'm doing a video on it, which if you've read the title of the channel, probably not a good sign. So the game is Pokémon Colosseum, a 3D Pokémon RPG adventure game that came out in 2004 in America for the Nintendo GameCube. Do I have to explain Pokémon to you? It's one of the most influential and popular game franchises in the history of game franchises. Its influence is vast, from revolutionizing mobile video games, spawning an anime that started in 1997 and is still going today. It has 200 more episodes than One Piece. How is that even possible? Its toys and merchandising have been all over since before I can even remember. There is a successful trading card game. They started a firestorm with their augmented reality app Pokémon Go, which lets you find and catch Pokémon in real life. There are backpacks, lunchboxes, plushies, amiibos, all different types of toys. If you can think of a product, you can find a version of that product with a Pikachu on it. To say Pokémon was a groundbreaking success is an understatement, and it's difficult to illustrate its popularity without dedicating an entire video to it. It's everywhere, and it all started from a little Game Boy game where you run around and catch a variety of monsters with Pokeballs, which you then use to fight other Pokemon. To catch more Pokemon, beat gyms to prove your strength, and become a Pokemon master. Pokemon was one of the first video games I was actually allowed to really play. I still remember the Christmas when we originally got that game. I think I was about 8 years old, and me and my brothers got a purple Game Boy Color all to share, and a few games to go alongside it, but the main game I remember was Pokemon Silver. Now I want to repeat something here. 1 Game Boy, 1 copy of Pokemon Silver, 4 brothers including myself. Things got messy. Luckily I was the oldest of the brothers, so I got the most time with it, which it pays to be the stronger one. What can you say? Growing up can be a war sometimes, and I take no prisoners. I was addicted from the moment I got my first Totodile and set off on my Pokemon adventure. From there, we eventually got our first home console, which is the Nintendo GameCube, which is a criminally underrated console. It has some amazing games on it, and Pokémon Colosseum was one of the ones I played the most. It was my first real experience with a 3D Pokemon game. Now, I had played Pokemon Stadium on the N64 at a friend's house, but only briefly, and I don't have strong memories of that game. So to me, Colosseum was it for me. It had a fantastically designed world, flamboyant and stylish characters, a kick-ass soundtrack, difficult boss battles, and access to legendary Pokemon that had always frustrated me in the handheld games. It was everything I wanted it to be. It was a real Pokemon console game, not just Pokemon Stadium where you were just fighting Pokemon constantly. It was a real go on an adventure, do things, get Pokemon, capture new Pokemon, train your team Pokemon game. It gave me an entirely new experience that as a child, I couldn't get enough of it. Then a couple months ago, I decided to stream it on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/coldheartedcomplaints, and the things that I loved about the game when I streamed it were still there. But my god, did those rose-tinted glasses fly right off. But we'll get to all that in a bit. Colosseum was made by Genius Sonority rather than Game Freak, the company that actually created Pokemon. Now, Sonority was founded with the intention of having them create home console Pokemon games, and Colosseum would be their first game. What they created was a Pokemon game that was unique in that it was entirely based on 2v2 double battles, and that you couldn't capture wild Pokemon as there were no wild Pokemon. All Pokemon you can capture to build your team are Shadow Pokemon, altered Pokemon who have their hearts closed off by the evil organization Cypher. This gives them powerful shadow attacks with one glaring weakness: using them. So here we come to one of my first gripes, the fact that enemy Pokemon, the ones you want to capture, have a main ability that damages itself. In Pokemon, you have to weaken and damage the Pokemon to get them in a state where they're ready for you to capture. So the issue is when you try to capture these weakened Pokemon, some of whom have really low catch rates, like the 3 legendary dogs in the game. So you're trying to work them down, get them into a nice little sliver of red there, just so they're really catchable, you know, especially if it's like Entei or Suicune, you know, gotta be really catchable there, really slim slice of red, and then they use their shadow attack and kill themselves. It's just a frustrating experience, especially in this game where resources are a bit limited compared to other games. Anyway, when you do manage to capture the shadow Pokemon, they typically have one shadow move. and as you open their heart by fighting with them, they slowly learn more and more moves until it becomes a time to purify them. Once purified, they lose their shadow abilities and gain all the experience they should have gained, as a shadow Pokemon cannot level up. Also, once you purify them, you can give them a fun nickname because they're your friend now. And I just went out and gave my team a few nicknames here. Oh my. Why, who named these? What's this? What's going on here? What? Oh man, look at them. Look at these guys. This is just a really important message I really believe in. Yeah. You're able to catch these shadow Pokemon with this device on your arm that the main character Wes steals from Team Snag'em after he bombs their base. Wes starts out with the stylish Umbreon and Espeon combo, two of my personal favorite evolutions who provide a nice balance of offense and defense. He's also the only Pokemon player character with any real character outside of being a person you control. See, in mainline games, your character is a young trainer just starting their journey, a blank slate for you to use to stand in for you. Wes, on the other hand, is older, he's more experienced, and a former villain as he was a member of Team Snag'em before leaving the gang and deciding to go on a quest to rescue all the Pokemon abused by Team Snag'em and the evil organization Cypher. So Colosseum is a bit of a redemption tale for Wes, or it would be, but all of his character moments end when the game actually starts in earnest. Once you really get into the game, he falls into the cookie cutter mold of previous protagonists of having no lines or character to speak of, which is incredibly disappointing because the little information you get about him created such a promising story. It really wouldn't have been that hard to add, you just have to add some lines of text. Maybe show his guilt and regret for his past deeds or what he assisted in doing to these Pokemon. But they decided instead to play it safe and just leave it here, leaving the story as a standard Pokemon story of take down the evil organization with no character progression or interesting story outside of that. Getting back to some good things though, the music is fantastic with a lot of great battle tracks and town music, though in my opinion, the main battle theme can get repetitive, and with as much grinding as you have to do sometimes in this game, it can get a bit annoying. Now it's good music, but hearing it over and over and over and over again is just too much sometimes. The villain Mirror B though has an amazing funky theme song which leads to his great design, and a lot of really cool design choices throughout the game. Mirror B has this disco flair and his red and white afro. They make him look like he's Todoroki from My Hero Academia's brother who just got time shifted to the 1970s. He is a ridiculously flamboyant and cartoony villain, and I am all here for it. The other bosses aren't as outrageous, but they have clearly defined characters reinforced by their character design, their teams, and their team's strategy. Like say Dakeem, who's a big tough bulky guy. His team reflects this by being full of big bulky Pokemon, and his main strategy is having one Pokemon use Protect while the other uses Earthquake, and just frustrate me to no end. This is my personal least favorite boss in the game because his team is so frustrating to play against. Him and Meyer B, and Meyer B is for a different reason. I love the guy, but his strategy consists of using a whole bunch of Ludicolo and Rain Dance and just gaining life all over, and his Pokemon just stay alive and they gain more life, and they have high defense and they gain more life, and they make you inaccurate and they gain more life. We're dancing around, we're gaining more life, dancing around, gaining more life. I'm losing my patience really bad. I hate this boss, gaining more life. Meyer B, just lose already. Stop dancing, lose. Getting back to the design, there's also the towns of the Ore region where this takes place. Most of the area is desert, like Pyrite Town, which kind of feels like it's straight out of Mad Max. It's even got its own Thunderdome. Fenax City is a beautiful little oasis town with their own nicer looking Thunderdome. Last of the main towns I want to talk about is Agate Village, which is in the mountains and has a green lush feeling to it. This is where you go to purify all your Pokemon and help them find inner peace, but there is no Thunderdome here, so this is automatically the worst town in the entire game. Also, there is a dark scummy underworld called the Under? You get it? Because it's the underworld and it's like underground, so that's pretty cool. It's actually a pretty neat town. I love the feeling of this area. It feels nice and dark and scummy and shady, and it's pretty cool. I like that. It's something new for a Pokemon game. Now, each one of these places has their own unique design and feel, making them all feel incredibly memorable and distinct. Again, I really do love the original design choices they made for this game. It really sets it apart as a Pokemon game and gives it its own life. While that design is awesome though, one of the most disappointing features is how you travel from place to place. You go to the edge of town and a map comes up and you select the next town. Then you get a cutscene of you on your sweet futuristic motorcycle and bam, you're in the other town. It's basic fast travel. The issue with this for me is that one of my favorite elements in Pokemon and in most of my favorite games is exploring a world. Personally, I would have liked having paths and areas in between towns. Those in-between areas are a core part of any Pokemon game. They give the worlds cohesion and a sense of self. Like, you know where you are, you know what direction you're going, you can feel the climate and the different types of Pokemon change. You feel these changes as you're moving throughout the world. It gives it a sense of cohesion, of reality. It makes the cities and hideouts just more than a point on a map. Being able to shift from a dry desert to an oasis town, it would have been more impactful if you're walking through the desert yourself and you stumble upon that oasis town, or it's this gleaming light in the middle of the desert where you have water Pokemon and nice, beautiful buildings. Similar to how you get to the Gerudo village in Breath of the Wild, you walk through the desert, everything seems stressful and harmful, and then you're in an oasis town, and it's nice and beautiful. That, and I really dislike how limited you are in setting up your party. This is up to Gen 3 in Pokemon. There's hundreds of Pokemon to choose from, but you have a very, very limited pool in this game. And adding in some in-between areas and ability to catch other Pokemon would have added a whole lot to sense of self, sense of what your party can do, making it feel like a real Pokemon game on a home console instead of a home console game that has less features than a mobile game. Now, I think what probably happened is there's hardware limitations with the Nintendo GameCube and they couldn't add all those things in there. And I understand that, but it would have made it a better game. Doing this, you can even still keep Shadow Pokemon as a plot device and a new way to interact with Pokemon, but have a lot less Shadow Pokemon and make them higher value rare Pokemon that you wouldn't be able to catch in the wild. They kind of do this. The inclusion of legendary Pokemon like the 3 dogs is great, because it was really annoying to try and get them at the time in the gold and silver versions. Now, you can transfer Pokemon from a Nintendo Game Boy Advance Pokemon game into Pokémon Colosseum with a transfer cable, but I never had one of those cables, or a Game Boy Advance. And if you don't have a Game Boy Advance, you're not going to have a copy of a Game Boy Advance Pokemon game. And really, if you have to have a cord, a Game Boy Advance, and a Game Boy Advance Pokemon game, all to make just a decent party, that's pretty bad. Maybe you'll think this isn't really a big deal, but it was for me, because I was in a situation when I was younger where my family just simply couldn't afford that stuff. I didn't even have access to any Pokemon Advance games until my family got the original Nintendo DS. Again, one to share for all of us. It went great. So again, this aspect of the game, completely unplayable for me then. It's still unplayable to me now because I don't have those things even now. I have a Game Boy Advance and games, but I don't have a transfer cord, so I'm not buying one just for this. This issue is compounded by some big level spikes and bosses, which forces you to grind your team to an adequate level at the area Mount Battle, where you can face 100 trainers with increasingly powerful teams. Sometimes your team is just poorly matched against the boss, so you'll find out you actually have to grind up some other Pokemon who actually fit the composition, which can take a lot of time and monotonous grinding. Again, you can import a team, but I didn't ever really have a convenient way to do that because of all the extras needed to make the transfer system work. A lot of what I've talked about here are big structural issues with the game, but I got some smaller, littler gripes that I kind of just want to run through here. First off is Rui. Now, I don't hate Rui. I actually think it's pretty cool to have companion alongside you. The main issue with her is how she follows you when you're walking around. Sometimes in certain areas, she can get trapped behind you and forces you to kind of wiggle your way free of her. Though she can also sense shadow Pokemon, so that's pretty neat. Saving the game is also just a hassle because you have to save at the PCs that are scattered around the map. Unlike almost every other game, you can save wherever and whenever you like. I don't even know why this is. Was it a hardware limitation? Because I don't know how that's even possible. If they chose to make it like this, then it was the wrong choice. Last little gripe here, the last area with the final boss takes forever to get around. Look how long this takes. You have to take platform after platform and it takes forever to load small rooms whenever you fight a boss. This is the pettiest gripe I have in this video, and it has little impact on the overall game, but this will always be my least favorite thing. How does it take this long to get around this area? It's boring and a waste of time, and I really just hate it. In the end, Pokémon Colosseum was a game that had a lot of potential. It had fun design, interesting ways to play, and it introduced introduced the closest thing to a protagonist we got in Pokemon that has like character traits or personality, and it brought the experience of Pokemon to the home console. While it fell flat in a lot of areas, it opened my mind to the possibility of what Pokemon could be on the home consoles. But this was never really followed up on. There was a sequel to Pokémon Colosseum called Pokémon XD, but it didn't really revolutionize what Pokémon Colosseum did. Pokémon XD tried to fix a lot of small issues that I had with Colosseum, but it didn't get all of them. It didn't get the biggest ones. Sure, they add a small little area up in the corner of the map where you can catch wild Pokemon. It's hardly even satisfying, and it feels like the game devs just said, oh, you want to catch wild Pokemon? Okay, you can do it. Just in this tiny little space up here, and maybe like 10 kind of Pokemon. I don't know how many were in there. It wasn't a lot. It was a very small amount, and it's a very small area. Have this small little area and stop fucking complaining. Heads up, I won't. It's the name of the channel. I can't stop unless I rebrand, and that's just... we're just too far in to do that. XD was more polished, but only slightly so. And most of those big, glaring issues with the game are still there. Personally, my Pokemon fandom has faded over the years. I haven't really gotten into a Pokemon game since Diamond and Pearl came out. I'm sure a lot of things have changed with Pokemon, and my girlfriend is a huge Pokemon fanatic. She keeps me up to date with all the current going-ons with Pokemon, so I get a good idea of what's currently happening now from her. But I personally have just never been into Pokemon ever since. Though it has been announced that there is going to be a mainline Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch. Now, there is the Hey You, Pikachu, and Eevee kind of stuff coming out. That's not what they're talking about. That's more of like something that goes with Pokemon Go. There's going to be a full, real Pokemon mainline game coming to the Nintendo Switch, and I'm really excited when we get information about that. That could be what finally satisfies the itch that was created with Pokemon Colosseum. Whether it'll live up to the expectations I'm placing on it is yet to be seen. Again, we don't really know much about this game right now. Maybe it'll remind me of that feeling when I first opened up that Game Boy Color and that little silver cartridge that started it all. This is Bo Jackson's 2 games in 1. That little silver cartridge. It doesn't have a face on it, but this is Pokemon Silver. It really is this time. I guess that's really all I have to say for now. Thank you very much. Leave a comment down below, maybe about your experience with Pokemon Colosseum, if you had an experience with this game, or what you want out of a console Pokemon game. What do you think it'll be? What do you think we're gonna get? What do you want to get from it? Maybe realistic expectation or not. Give me your craziest ideas. What crazy thing do you want to do? Do you want to print money and just manufacture gold? That would destroy the economy, but it'd be interesting. A bold move from Nintendo. Also, be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see videos similar to this one. Hit the bell if you want to get notifications on your phone and email. Thank you very much. Stay rad and play Bo Jackson on Nintendo Game Boy. 2 games in 1.